some of you guys may know that I have two YouTube channels. I have this YouTube channel, and then I have a podcast that I do called Drummers Education Connection, and it's with myself and a couple of my buddies, three of my friends from around the United States, and all three of us are drummers and drum teachers and authors and all that sort of good stuff. And we talk about drums and drumming relevant stuff. And then I have this channel, which is my personal YouTube channel, and the content that I've been uploading lately has been for a playlist called Road Rash and Band-Aids. And that is a play on words from being on the road with a band. You're going to get road rash, you're going to need Band-Aids and stuff like that. So anyway, my Drummers Education Connection channel is geared just to drummers, right? This is geared to all musicians and, again, being on the road, stuff like that. But I bring up the deck channel because I'm going to put a link in the description to the particular video that I'm going to talk about right now. We had a friend of mine, Mitch Marine, on a couple of years ago when we first started the podcast. Mitch is a drummer for Dwight Yoakam. He's a great guy, super cool guy, real sweetheart of a dude, and a real straight shooter. Like he doesn't pull a punch, right? I mean, he says what's on his mind, and that's what I love about Mitch. Anyway, he came on and we were talking about drumming and being a drummer and this and that. And he straight up comes out at one point in the podcast and he says, "Drummers practice the stupidest crap." And he didn't say crap. and we all had a good laugh about it, and we thought it was kind of funny, because it's true. You know, most of anybody that's in a band that's usually guilty of overplaying, the person that's guilty of overplaying the most, I think, is us drummers. Another person that kind of corroborated that, it was probably years before that, was Roy Burns. Now, for you younger drummers who don't know who Roy Burns is, or younger musicians, do yourself a favor and look up Roy Burns. He had one of the most stellar careers in the music business. He did it all. He was a drummer for Benny Goodman after Gene Krupa left. Woody Herman. He was one of the founding members of Aquarian Drumheads. He penned many, many educational books and articles for Modern Drummer. He was a juggernaut in the business, and he too was a dear friend and just a great guy. And he said to me one time, he goes, drummers practice. They spend 90% of their time practicing things that they will spend 2% of their time playing. And it's so true. It's so true. So I think what happens with drummers is a few things. I think we kind of get this thing that every song has to have a million drum fills in it and has to just be over the top crazy, and it has to be super complicated and really hard. And if it's not that, then we don't want to play. It has a double bass and lots of 32nd notes, and we got to fit everything that we know into like 2 measures of music. And man, I'm telling you, when you do that, you're not playing for the song, you're playing for your ego, right? And you're playing for that part of you that wants to impress the other drummers. But look, the 3 most important things to good drumming, are groove, time, and feel. Okay, the groove is the groove that you play that holds down the pocket for the band. The time is that you have good solid time. You don't speed up, you don't slow down. You try to end the song the same tempo that you started the song. And the feel, well, what is feel? I have a lot of young students. What does feel mean? Well, I think feel is a lot of things, but the best way that I can describe musical feel is when you see somebody dancing, right? Somebody is dancing to the feel that you are creating as a drummer, right? So groove, time, and feel, right? Incredibly, incredibly important. So let's go back to the first one. A lot of times it's, we want to play a great groove for the song, but then again, we want to put in these big drum fills and go nuts and just impress all the drummers in the room. And again, if you do that, you're playing for the ego, right? You're playing for trying to impress somebody. You're not playing for the song. and creating the pocket, as I said a minute ago. So let's think about that for a minute. Let's think about the word pocket. What does a pocket do? A pocket on your jeans or a pocket on your shirt, well, it's there to hold things, right? So as a drummer, your job is to hold the band in this pocket. Your job is to create a pocket for the band to play in. I often say that the drums are the ultimate support instrument. And between the drums and the bass player and the piano player, the rhythm section of the band, you're supposed to hold that rhythm section down for the people who are soloing, or for the singer who's telling the story, which is really the most important thing. And, I used to be, like I'm guilty as charged, right? If I could play a drum fill with eighth notes, well, then I can surely play a drum fill with 16th notes, right? So what I learned over time is to not do that. I've learned that the old saying is very true. Less is more. And until you get into a recording studio situation where you're working with, anytime you're recording, but when you start working with a good producer or a really good engineer, you're going to find really quickly how true that is. And so I can't emphasize enough that you've got to play for the song. Now, for any of you guys that are sitting there going, well, I'm really into Rush. I'm really into Yes. I'm into Genesis. I love Dave Weckl. I love, lots of chops. So do I. I'm not saying dumb down your playing. I'm not saying don't sit and practice things and practice chops. But when it comes to being in a band and playing with a band, don't step on the song. Far be it from me these days, especially, maybe not so much when I was younger, but far be it from me to want to step on the person telling the story, right? Because that's what a song is. It's a story. And if you find yourself there where maybe one of a singer that you're working with or a songwriter is like, I don't know, you're playing a little bit too much, don't let that part hurt your ego. Don't let that part come up and chip away at you to where you think that you're better than the song or your part is the most important part of the song, because really, again, the drums create the pocket and the drums are the foundation. It's everybody coming together for the greater sum of the whole to make the song. So kind of be a team player. Now, let me tell you where I really learned a lot about this. So the group that I play with, the Sam Morrison Band, we have 3 shows that we do. We have our original music, which is, it's rock, Southern rock, kind of just real old school rock and roll, right? Very Allman Brothers, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Marshall Tucker band influenced. We got a lot of players in the band. There's 6 of us. So like our keyboard player carries a Hammond and a B3 and it just sounds amazing. And we have a great saxophone player, great woodwind player. Carl plays a little bit of everything. Really cool stuff. 2 fantastic guitar players, amazing guitar players, Sam and David. So that's our first show, is our original stuff, right? How the band started. And then we have a whole lot of covers, a lot in the vein of those songs or those bands that I just mentioned, Allman Brothers, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Marshall Tucker. And then we have a tribute show that we do called Turn the Page, tribute to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. And that kind of became our bread and butter somewhere around 2007, I think, something like that, 2006. We were playing in Vegas a lot, and we were opening up to this band that did these tribute shows. And they were really, they did everything. Like one night they'd do a tribute to Rush, right? And they would nail it. Like it was really good. And then the next night, it would be the polar opposite. It'd be like, we're going to do a tribute to the Beatles. Equally as good, right? And you're like, oh my God, how are these guys doing this? So anyway, through a long story chain of events, Sam would always hear, we had a couple of Bob Seger songs in our set, and Sam would always hear, man, you sound just like Bob Seger, So for a short condensed version, he just came to the band and said, hey, what if we keep the same branding, Sam Morrison Band, but calls it Presents Turn the Page, a tribute to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, and let's see if it works. Well, sure enough, it did. And somewhere, like I said, I think it was 2007, 2008, something like that, we got signed to a record label called Titan Tribute Media. And the producer on the album was a guy by the name of Michael Blum, who had produced Madonna records. He'd worked with Pink Floyd. He did all the Suicidal Tendency records. This guy has got a resume a mile long, and oh my God, is he good? He is such a great producer. And when we got in there, I was really confident, that I knew my parts. I'd worked hard on them, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to record these albums. And the albums were that they were to re-record the Bob Seger catalog. Now, legalities are legalities, and it is legal to record cover tunes, and we weren't trying to sell the songs, making people think that we were Bob Seger. I won't even get into that part of it, but it is legal to record cover tunes. And we were going to have them on streaming platforms. This was way back in the day, so iTunes was still a viable thing. And and CDs, old school CDs that we sold at shows, which we still do. There are still people out there with CD players. So anyway, when we got into the sessions to record these songs on the first album, I was confident. I was like, okay, I've got this. I'm ready to go. And I had been playing for years with a click going, so I was in the right tempos and everything. And once I got into the studio, I found out a few things, and that was I needed some more work, first of all. And then also that I wasn't playing the songs exactly like the record. Now, the original record, right? The original recordings of Bob Seger's. And again, when we did these recordings, we weren't going to try to sell them as Bob Seger or make anybody think we were Bob Seger. We were just going to record these things like as close to perfect as we could, so that they were a great representation of these amazing bodies of work, right? And it was 100% out of pure respect that we did it that way. And what I found, once again, when I got into the session was that, wow, I wasn't exactly like the original recordings. So the first album stands up well, and I really believe in it. But what I had to really dig deep to get all the little nooks and crannies of these songs right. And they weren't like incredibly complex songs. They were just great songs, right? And Sam and Michael would say it's complex simplicity, right? It's songs that they stand the test of time, and they sound fantastic, and we wanted to record them up to modern day specifications and using modern technology, and put them on the metronome so everything was lined up, and maybe we could possibly get some sync licensing with them. All these things that needed to be done. So that's what we did. When we got ready to do the second album, I knew I needed to get better, so I went in and transcribed all the songs. Literally, like, it took me months to get these 15 tunes, every note transcribed. And then when I went in and recorded them, I recorded them to the click, meaning that we always recorded the click, the metronome. But literally, we recorded them with no other musicians, right? Like, there's no other musicians in the room with me. It was just me and the metronome and my chart, and I'm reading it down. And it really made a world of difference in the performances. And when I listen back, I'm like, yeah, I'm exactly like the original recordings. Definitely, I wasn't trying to be better than the original recordings, because, I mean, these songs were huge hits. Who am I to come in and say, well, gosh, if I would have done that song, I would have done this, and I would have played it better. No. This is 100% about doing a very well done, accurate representation of the songs that were already hits. So I learned a lot from that. The other way that I was playing, if I was playing too much, if I was overplaying, if I was just going for it or putting a fill in there that I thought, oh, this fill would work, that's me playing for the ego. So I really learned from that. Subsequently, I got a lot of other work from Michael, doing re-records, transcribing catalogs of songs for songs that he had the rights to, and that's what they were going to use them for, was sync licensing. So they re-recorded them to just sound a little bit better to be used in commercial use. and I got quite a bit of work from that. So what I learned was, first of all, I became a better transcriber and a better drummer in that area. So it was good for me. It was good for my students. The other thing that it did for me was it really helped me realize that sometimes the simplest of drum parts are not, it's not simple because they wanted to oversimplify it. It was simple because, again, what I was saying a minute ago, it held the song and the players in a pocket, and they could play over it. They could sing over it. They could tell a story over it. They could do all of these things. And really, that's what a drummer's job is. So I think that all of those things, if you're a drummer, are important to think about. Now, again, I can go into other catalogs. You need to talk about Rush, or you talk about Genesis, or you talk about, I just heard a War Pigs today, an early Sabbath tune. It was the Judas Priest with the Ozzy version. It's just killer. And oh my God, if those Bill Ward drum parts were dumbed down, it wouldn't have been right. I mean, those drum parts are fantastic. And Scott Travis and Priest, man, he tore it up, man. It's killer. It's so good. But those parts, although they're busy, they create the pocket and the feel for the song. If you're playing Tom Sawyer by Rush, you're going to have to play those fills. So the point is, play for the song. And they don't all have to be War Pigs, and they don't all have to be Tom Sawyer. Some of them can just be like some of the, just a simple little 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look back in some of my old videos, there is a video from my DVD, School of Hard Rocks, which I recorded years ago, back when DVDs were viable, where I'm playing one of the Seeger tunes. And it got the rights to it, by the way, through... I own the rights to re-record that song and to have the video up there and everything, and all the legalities, and the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and everything like that. But you can watch me play. It's a really simple groove, but man, it fits the song and it works so incredibly well. And it's not a hard part to play. The point is that I'm playing for the band. I'm playing for the song. And if you're a drummer and you want to be in a band, and there's a lot of guys on influencers now on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and floogity, and they just want to go nuts, right? And sit back there and show all these chops. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. Knock yourself out. Go for it, man. I mean, I watch that stuff and I'm inspired and I'm in awe, But I've always been the type of guy that I want to work with other musicians and I want to work with other players. And I just love that part of my career, right? So if you're a drummer or any instrumentalist, it doesn't matter what you play, but especially if you're a drummer, don't play for the ego, play for the song. Anything else, I think, just kind of gets in the way because you're then stepping on the song. So if you're writing original parts, think about that. Think about how can I mold a part to fit for the song. If you're playing cover tunes, and come into rehearsal or come into the gig knowing the parts, your parts dead on. Because again, the song is a hit for a reason, right? Who are we to say, oh, I would have done better? No. I mean, sometimes you're playing a song that's sold millions of copies on platinum records or won Grammys, So do that piece of art justice and play the part well, right? Things like that make all the difference in the world to the song, and things like that are the things that get you hired back as a musician. Those are the things that keep you employed as a musician. Okay, so there you go. That's my tidbit on that for playing for the song. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. Hit that big old, put your thumb on there and do that for me. I'd really appreciate it. And then also, I wrote, I'm also an author, and I wrote a book called Drum Up Your Business and The Rhythmic Journey. Those are my 2 literary books. I have links to those in the description below. And in Drum Up Your Business, that's what kind of spawned me doing these videos, was that book. It was like, This is all stuff that is a 30 or 35 or however many years I've been in this crazy business. It's just experience put into, print form. And I hope that it helps some of the younger players and the next generation of musicians. So if you're interested in that, the digital version is available at Hudson Music, and the print version is available at my website, bartrobley.com. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.